Excuse me, Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, the #1 sports information program in America, the Breakfast Bankroll, with your host, the sports broker, Jeff Dawson.
ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all of your sports books and track all of your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You can also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as they're the best account on the platform. Head to the App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire to download the app.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your Breakfast Bankroll for Tuesday, November 28th, 2023. Our weekly spot with CXO Travis Geiger of WagerWire. One of my favorite spots of the week. Great way to start the week is we're able to break down sports and the sports market in the way I like to, turning early investments into assets before they mature. And even if you got a pre-flop bet, and even if it loses, well, we have the opportunity of actually cashing in and winning. We're going to go through some Heisman, the Final Four potentially in college football, some hockey, some NBA. No NBA. NBA next week. Some NHL. But it's great to have them back from a trip to Alaska, which we'll see a few pictures and ask them how it was. So without further ado, let's bring in the star of this show, the one and only Mr. Travis Geiger.
Hey, good morning, Jeff.
Good morning. Some people are fortunate enough to travel on the holidays, especially Thanksgiving, one of the busiest travel days. For me, I stay this side of the bridge. I stay local on the Cape. You living in the left coast in California, we didn't do a show last week because you went to Alaska. Is that correct?
Yeah, so I had the privilege of visiting my sister there, who's finishing up her clinicals at Duke, the one and only Duke University. So she's working at Alaska Behavioral Health, studying community medicine, psychology up there. She's a very interesting person. She's my hero. And it was quite the trip. I don't know if you've ever had the pleasure of ice fishing up there or dog sledding up there, but I recommend it to everybody.
The only ice fishing I ever had was back in the 80s. I used to go to Lake Winnipesaukee in February, and my relatives, my aunt and uncle, had a home right on Lake Winnipesaukee. And, I look out into this lake. Now, to me, a lake is meant for ice skating and in the summer to swim. And there's Winnebagos, there's cars, there's trucks. And, I was in middle school scared to death. Meanwhile, the ice is 3 feet thick because it's so cold up there.
Yeah, you can drive on it, right?
Yeah, not me. I'm on a snowmobile shaking that the ice is going to crack. And meanwhile, there goes a Winnebago right by me.
Yeah, we had some icy snowmobile adventures up there as well. Man, but it's always great to see family, and just really proud of my sister. She's gone to some great universities, Colorado, has a degree from Columbia, and finishing it off at Duke. So she's smarter than I am for sure.
Well, before we break into this, let's do this. Let's show the people right here where we got some.
That's my beautiful family, and notice the support, the WagerWire hats. Can't miss it. And dog sledding, which is quite the time. If anyone's never been, I would recommend it. The dogs love it, and it's got a really fascinating history. The Iditarod's coming up in February. They don't offer gambling lines on it yet. We're working on that. They do offer fantasy mushing, where you can choose a dog sled team of 16 different dogs, just how you would choose different starting players. And depending on how they reach the checkpoints and stuff, you get different points. So fantasy mushing is my new favorite sports related thing I've learned about.
Tell me, I mean, okay, I've never done this part. Was this your first time doing this?
My first time doing this kind of thing for sure. Yeah.
Is there any antsiness on your part? I mean, I know you're in these, I can see the trail right now. I mean, these dogs get moving here. Is there any antsiness on your part? Like all of a sudden you're going to veer off and then right into the trees or anything like that?
I believed in these dogs. There's an element of danger, but the element of adventure overcame the danger. I think the dogs knew what they were doing. I think more so than even the people. Yeah.
It's definitely another world out there. And I have not been to Alaska. That is obviously on my bucket list. So we will, if I ever do get the chance to head out there, I will obviously reach out to you first for some advice. How's that?
Sounds good. And you reached out to me because we had a crazy game, Alabama Auburn, and I wanted to show everybody for the first time on this show. I think the first time on this show, the in-game charts, which we just kind of rolled out last week, our ability to see if you placed a $100 bet at the beginning of the game, the journey of that bet's value during the game. And this is particularly interesting because there was a 0.1% chance of Alabama pulling this off. And they did.
I was sitting here watching the Iron Bowl. I think that Alabama closed 14.5, I think might have been the closing line there. And it was, in rivalry week, you got to throw the records out. And it's just, I mean, I remember growing up at my high school rivalry week game and we could have been 1-8 and Falmouth could have been, 9-0. It didn't matter. You throw the records out. And I said sarcastically before this game, there was no Cam Newton. There was no Bo Jackson on the Auburn side, but they played with pride and 4th and 31. I said this yesterday on our shows. If you gave Milroe 100 chances at that throw, he would have made it once, and he made it count when it had to.
Right. I mean, the odds gave him 1,000 chances to make that throw and only give it to him once, 99.9%. So I don't really even know how you would play this because it didn't seem like they had a chance. I don't know anyone in their right mind that would just kind of take the money right here. But if you had the opportunity, you should have. I mean, if there's ever an opportunity, if there's even a little glimmer in the eye of the other team to come back, but you look like you're almost at full realized value, you should probably take the money off the table. If you can. Obviously, they're not going to be giving you a good cash out price, even if it is a sure thing. So that's why, wager wire up into the buzzer is what we say, up into the final whistle, you'd be able to sell all or part of your bet.
Before we get into some more of the charts and graphs, Travis, tell everyone for the first time that's watching us here exactly what Wager Wire is, where you are today, and obviously where you hope to be in 2024 and, and for the rest of our time. How's that sound?
Yeah, for sure. So Wager Wire is an idea that me and two of my, college roommates who we met at UCLA had, which is basically, why can't you sell your bet, right? We buy these bets, whether it's a Super Bowl future or, we put parlays down, we money lines, game lines, the whole 9 yards. They either win or lose, but that bet is always going on a journey. Depending on how the team's doing, it can be up, it can be down. There's value in that. There's either value gained or value lost. You should be able to cut your losses, or you should be able to take a profit on all of your bet or part of your bet. You should be able to control that asset. So what we've done is we built the technology that API integrates to the casino systems themselves that allows you to take control of your action and sell all or part of your bet. at any point in time. So where does that start? It starts with us building the WagerWire app, which is now available in the App Store that you can download. You can sync all of your sports books to it. You can see all of your action. You can track your stats. You can see how am I doing on parlays versus straight bets? How am I doing on this team versus that team? Really start to understand yourself as a bettor. I think too often we don't actually critically look back at our betting history and say what's working for me, what's not working for me. Oftentimes our bets are spread over different apps because we're line shopping. What WagerWire does is it puts all of your bets in one place. You can see it like a universal wallet. And we have the odds in there across all the books. So you can see what's this bet at Caesars versus what's this bet at MGM, all right in one place. We can link you to our partners, and then eventually it's going to be your betting portfolio in there that you can be selling in and out of. So our first partner that we've announced, and we have more that we're announcing even just in these next couple of weeks, Jeff, is Better. That's the one that's public right now. We'll be with them next year. That's Jake Paul's company. They're the first one to really take a chance on us, which we're really happy about. And we think in just the next couple of years, this will be table stakes at every sports book in America. I think that no sports books are going to want to be caught without this. Just like they can't not have micro betting or in-game betting. Well, believe it or not, micro betting or in-game betting was a foreign concept to sports books just a few years ago. This is a foreign concept to them now, but I think the industry is moving in the direction of the bettor. We as bettors, we think the books are always getting one over on us, and oftentimes they are, but they also need bettors. And I think that they are going to have to create a better experience for us, the betting public, than what's available now. Right now, you're seeing sports books that there's really not a lot of difference between the two, between one or the other. I mean, there's different color scheme, there's different branding, but what are they really offering? WagerWire is a chance for them to differentiate themselves, and I think the first mover is going to have a big advantage. So who's ever listening, if you're not first, you're last. So hop on board. You have our emails. Let's go.
And as you're saying this, and I first, I usually say this in the intro, so I'm going to say it now. East Coast Sports Investors is proud to have partnered with WagerWire, and we look forward to this journey with you. Ourselves are coming up January 1st, 2024 on our 9-year anniversary. So we started January 1st, 2015, well before PASPA and well before 30 plus states have become legal. And back in 15 and 16, 17, well before COVID in 2020, we would always offer, I call it pre-flop wagering. Here's what our numbers say. Here's what we're releasing to the day to our clients all over the world. But the game has changed, and it's almost like you see so many people on social media now hedging their wages at halftime. In other words, they see that their pre-flop wager had no chance. Therefore, let's take the second half and let's get out of Dodge, or let's double down in the second half. So as you were saying this, my brain and the gerbil is spinning so far where it's almost, Travis, that I can see in the near future where pre-flop wagers will almost be prehistoric or dinosaurs, where you're going to see more and more sharper people say, hey, Vegas numbers are too sharp, Travis, as you can see in the NFL, you can see in the NBA. I'm going to let them go, and we will reassess this at halftime.
Right.
We will reassess this in the in-game wager where we see value, and this is where WagerWire even becomes more valuable to the sports books and the casinos.
Absolutely. Here's an interesting one too. I mean, the game, right? I don't know if this illustrates your point directly, but there's always kind of a time where the underdog kind of pulls ahead, but you maybe still don't believe Ohio State's going to pull it out. I'd be interested what you think. I mean, again, just so everyone knows, this is $100 bet placed before the start of the game, and now we're following the value of that $100 bet as the live line is flying around. So basically, what you're looking at is what this bet is worth over the course of the game, and then you could see right here at the end, after that brutal interception. It's a done deal, but it's staying neck and neck, and then it looks like Ohio's, but crazy shit can happen, right? Because excuse my French, that Ohio State game, they were marching, right? They had 30 seconds left, but they were one play away from being Alabama Auburn. So, right up into the buzzer, you never know what's going to happen. There's all sorts of craziness. And then, of course, it's going to directly affect their national title chances. So these lines were kind of converging going into that game. If Ohio State would have beat Michigan, you would have seen a crisscross right here. So, you look at Ohio State, Michigan going into that game, that the result is going to directly affect their national title chances. It's going to sink one. I mean, Ohio State could have potentially knocked Michigan out of it, but they could have definitely played themselves into it. So you look at all of these kind of inflection points as either buy territory or sell territory. If you had a Michigan bet, you got $100 Michigan bet to start the season, going into the Ohio State game, you're up 2.5x. If they lose that game, their national title chances are impacted significantly. I still think they make the playoffs, but maybe it's time to take some chips off the table. Shoot, sell enough just to get your $100 back, ride risk-free with Michigan the rest of the way.
100%. And we talked backstage, and I was talking with Jeffrey Benson via Twitter yesterday, back and forth from the Circa. He currently has Michigan plus 185 to win the national title. He has Georgia plus 190. Or Georgia or Michigan actually would be favored. And his exact words to me was the fact that he feels Michigan has an easier path to the Final Four. They have an easier path to the potential championship, where Alabama and Georgia face off. And Georgia right now is a 5-point favorite to beat Alabama. Michigan's 23-point favorites to beat Iowa. So as we talk right now, Travis, Michigan has a lot easier path, and is most likely, there's no such guarantees or locks or mega whale plays here, but Michigan's going to win, and Michigan will be in the Final Four, where we're not sure if Georgia loses, if they will be in the Final Four.
Yeah, Georgia's a tough one. I mean, that's why I honestly think I like to play, underdogs or long shots. And I know that you do too. I mean, this Georgia team, which is now, in very risky situation, you're only up $33 from your $100 investment. This is, going all the way back to when the window first opened on these in January. So $100, you got $33 of profit after a stellar year from Georgia, and they could still watch it all slip away. So when you're playing the futures, there's not a ton of upside value in betting the favorites. If it's your team, it's your team. But if you had the foresight to say, okay, looking at the Heisman race, this Oregon team has a chance, and sure enough, they're up 5x on that $100 bet as opposed to Georgia up $33.
Russell Saylor, by the way, who is part of watching our shows, has a 7-1 on Bo Nix to win the Heisman. And right now, sitting in the catbird seat, he wants to know, did you have any moose encounters, Travis, in Alaska?
No, we didn't see any moose. My sister is an amateur moose watcher, so she's seen quite a few. I hear they're majestic. Does Mr. Saylor have any moose stories for us?
Russell, any moose stories?
Drop them in the drop your moose stories in the chat. Anything moose related, Mises?
Go, where are you? Okay, you're in the Heisman right now. Yeah, it's Jaden Daniels now plus money. The difference right now between Bo Nix and Jaden Daniels is Bo Nix has got one more game, 9-point favorites against Washington. Jaden Daniels, until the Bowls, will not have another game. So the Heisman will be voted on after this week's game. So as long as Bo Nix doesn't lay a major egg, it looks like he will be crowned the Heisman Trophy winner.
Wow. Amazing. I mean, I'll send you some more of these to post. We can do a look back. I mean, what a crazy Heisman race it's been between, well, Jordan Travis going down was devastating. I'm interested to what you think about how that affects Florida State. I'm looking back. I was thinking about the Bama team and the Ohio State team recently, but also historically, who have won on backup quarterbacks. I mean, Tua was Bama's backup, right? And then Ohio State had that crazy year. They were on their third or fourth quarterback, and they won the national championship. So I don't think you can penalize a team, a really good program, for not having a starting quarterback. But it's going to be pretty cringe if they go undefeated and still didn't make it in. I saw it happen to the Bearcats, totally different. They're a different type of team, but they had to go 2 undefeated seasons in a row to finally break the glass ceiling on that. But I think Florida State deserves a shot. There's nothing you can do other than be undefeated, and you could argue they had a stronger strength of schedule than Michigan. So I don't know. I'm on Florida State's team, hoping they get in.
The UCF was the other undefeated team, and then they for 2 years were talking that they were national champs. You know, the sad part is the injury to Jordan Travis. The public, even before he got injured, was trying to find a way not to get Florida State in. Now we forget that they beat LSU in the opening game of the year. We forget that they went into Clemson, who's is an off year for them, but they went into Death Valley and they won that game. And now the injury, it's almost like that's the out for the committee. Even they're 4.5, 5-point favorites against Louisville. I was watching Joe Klatt last night talk about he's got them all the way down to 8, I think, in his top 10, just because they are a different team without Jordan Travis. And unfortunately, I'll say this for the record, even if they beat Louisville, I think they're going to be outside looking in, whether it's going to be a one-loss Texas team. Obviously, the Pac-12's in, Michigan's in if they win. The SEC, one of those teams are in. The big question mark, Travis, especially for Florida State, is going to be, if Georgia beats Alabama, Alabama's out. So now you're going to come down to a one-loss Texas team versus a potential undefeated Florida State team.
Yeah. So I was reaching for the Texas chart here, but you can see how what's changed in Florida State's chances other than Jordan Travis.
It's Jordan Travis.
It's totally reflected in the chart too. So they won all of these games, but continued to slide on that.
So you're almost like, when you're going to the window this weekend to bet on the conference champions, I can't say this enough. Texas is big favorites over Oklahoma State. Washington is 9-point dogs. You're better off still to grab a future to make the Final Four. You're better off to grab a future to win the national championship than run into the window, because, again, it will be in the committee's hands. But you're going to get a -110 either which way if you're betting on a spread on Saturday's game, or if you wanted to bet a money line. But you're better off to go grab a ticket. And, yeah, it could turn into a bear coaster. It could turn into confetti, as we all know. But, Travis, what do we like to say? At the end of the day, at the end of this tournament, there's only going to be one winner anyways.
Yeah. Everyone else is going to zero. But it's a great point, especially at the end of the season here, when there's crazy swings with, the wager wire method. Rather than betting individual games, bet the ultimate outcome and let that game swing, in hopefully the upside direction here. I mean, look at right here. It's really interesting. There's still value in Alabama, and of course Texas still has a long way to go up because people kind of count them out at the beginning of the year. So rather than bet these individual games, maybe think about putting a future on these teams.
Russell says he's from, and I'm probably going to butcher this, I want to say Minot, North Dakota. He goes, we occasionally had a moose visit in town, but no close encounters.
Very good. No Close Encounters of Mooses, but what about aliens up there, Russell? Okay, you wanted to go to some NFL charts real quick?
Sure.
Okay. What a game. This was Bills and Eagles. This was a request from you, Jeff, because I know it's had some crazy swings. I mean, you can see how many times the chart flips. Really interesting.
Eagles, Bills up 10 early. Eagles coming off a fourth quarter comeback at Kansas City. And as you can see, you had a perfect opportunity to almost double your money, or as we like to say, hey, I'll grab the $97 and I'll free roll with the Bills. And then again, in this quarter over here, you got back to the 197. But as you see, once we got to overtime, they kicked the field goal, and then the final drive, the Eagles end up prosperous in the winner.
This is what gets me excited about WageWire, Jeff. Is all right. Let's take the Bills. Let's take the Bills in this chart. This bet is going to zero. The Bills are going to lose, but you put $100 down. You have an opportunity here to, like you said, basically double up. So let's for a moment imagine that you did that. All right. Now you take your profit. Okay, you've already doubled up, but then you're watching the game and you see the Bills are they going to make a comeback? I don't know. Is it worth buying back in at 50? Because you can see that this chart now again almost reaches that same high point. So in the same game, you can be trading in and out of the position on a team. So you could go from 100, double your money, let it sink back to 50. Now this is an even bigger jump now, because now we're not going from 100 to 197 to basically 100 to 200. We're going from 50 to 200. So there's all that profit that you can capture there. Get out at the high point, let it go to zero. Trading that bet 3 different times during the course of the game, you can make a significant profit on a bet that goes on to lose. That's what gets me excited, because people like you and I feel like directionally and momentum wise, you're able to kind of read the tea leaves and know like when to get on and when to get off the trolley if you can. I like not even holding a bet to the end. I like playing this kind of inter game. It really is like day trading, as you know, Jeff, like what you pioneered. Yeah.
It's absolutely fascinating. And I really think this is where, I don't want to say the true professionals are going, because there's a lot of people that are, cash outs, but you only see the cash outs when people are talking, stupid 5, 10, 15, 20 legged parlays. This is actual live in-game probability, and where you can, as I like to say, turn an investment into profit before it matures.
Right. It's a good point about cash out. So cash out, we can't rely on cash out, as you guys, as everyone knows, like it's not always offered. Also, it's generally a ripoff, right? I mean, it just is. What you can do with WageWire is offer it up for a fair market price. So if you're here in the game, is cash out going to be offering you 197? Absolutely not. It's probably offering you 50, 60 cents on the dollar of that. So we let you capture that full profit. And then it's really like, you can think of it almost like a peer-to-peer cash out. Rather than the book try to gouge you for it, sell it to some schmuck. Sell this to some schmuck in Buffalo that really believes their team's going to win that game. Or buy it from some schmuck in Buffalo who really lost faith in their team, and then sell it to another schmuck, doesn't even have to be in Buffalo, who thinks that they're just getting a sure thing up here. You don't have to play the house anymore, right? The house doesn't always have to win. They win when you come in the door, then when kick you on the ass on the way out the door with the cash out. This is a way for you to own that asset. And the books actually like it, because it's changing betting behavior so that people are actually taking bigger swings, different swings. They're building their bets in a different way. They're thinking about their futures in a different way. They're placing, on teams that maybe they wouldn't have bet on if it was all or nothing. So for the books, I mean, just practically thinking, why would a book do this? It actually does help their volume. It doesn't cannibalize their primary market. It actually, we think we're going to get more people cashing out than ever before because replacing it with this forward-thinking mentality, not this defensive mentality or, playing out of fear where you're just kind of taking this last second bail option. It's like, no, let me kind of ride this directionally one way or another and have full control, because with WagerWire, I can sell all or part of my position and manage it as the game or season goes on.
And I was just reading, we got a comment on Twitter, and I'm going to say 2 games this week. Alabama -5 Georgia -5 against Alabama, and Oregon -9 or 8.5 or even 9.5 against Washington. You might like both those teams to win, but you might not like the spreads. So you literally could sit here. Let's say Alabama gets a 7-0 lead. Let's say Alabama gets a 10-0 lead. Let's say Washington jumps out on Oregon 7-0 or 10-0. You might not be invested in the pre-flop of that action, but now when you get Georgia down 7 or 10 points, or if you got Oregon down 7 or 10 points, you might be able to now dive in and get obviously a lot greater value and plus money on that side to win the game outright and not have to worry about the spread.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, dead on. Yeah, dead on. Just extrapolating this out too. Games have consequences. Not so much. It's not like as extreme as example as what we're seeing in college football coming down to the wire, but and they're not comparable in the same way. But there's value on the Bills here, even after that crushing loss. Jeff, do you agree?
The odds of them making the playoffs right now, let's say this, the odds of them winning the AFC East are probably gone. To sneak into the playoffs, there is an opportunity. Now, as we know, in July and August, you would have never gotten a price like this on the Bills. People remember what they saw last. Well, they still have an opportunity to get into the playoffs. And then anything can happen once you get into the playoffs. So you'll never get a lower number than this, yes, on the Bills. And I'm going to flip this, Travis. You see this price on the Eagles? Now, I think the Eagles are the second best team in the NFL. We'll find out on Sunday. The 49ers are coming to Philadelphia on Sunday, and the 49ers, who have 3 losses, and the Eagles only have 1. The 49ers are 2.5-point favorites. And then, so the Eagles then travel to Dallas the following week. So what I would say to everyone watching and listening, you might want to still buy stock in the 49ers. You might want to go buy some stock on Dallas. Why do I say? Well, because the 49ers beat the Eagles this week. Dallas will be favored next week at home against Philly. If they beat Philly, they now have 3 losses, and Philly has 3 losses. And guess what? The 49ers have 3 losses. So you got a true bleep show in the NFC, and the Lions will be sitting right in the catbird seat as well.
It's interesting. They're kind of all right in the hunt right here. And unlike over at the AFC, there's a little bit more separation, but I don't know what you think. What do you think? What do you think of the Dolphins right now versus like a team like the Niners? Who would you rather be riding with?
My head and my eyes would say the 49ers, just because I think they're built for cold weather. As long as their quarterback stays healthy, they're rounding into form. They had that 3-loss bump. Now we're seeing them come off the bye. They win in Jacksonville. They just won in Seattle. They're traveling to Philly. This Sunday will be a real big eye test for us. If they go into Philly and maul Philly, Philly, you talk about a schedule. At KC, just played the Bills. Now you got to face the 49ers. I think this is a prime spot for the 49ers. Listen, I think the Dolphins have done wonders. They got the AFC pretty much as long as Tua stays healthy. Are they built for December and January cold weather? warm weather team that, a passing team. They can run the ball, don't get me wrong. But I think, Travis, I would have to lean 49ers.
Do you think the Dolphins could get home field and just like stay warm until Vegas Super Bowl?
Great question. The Ravens now, think of this. The Ravens, who just won in LA on Sunday, in their division, all the quarterbacks are gone. Burrow's gone, Deshaun Watson's gone, and you got Kenny Pickett. So they're all set there. And so it's a battle with the Chiefs and the Dolphins right now. That's a great question. What happens if the Ravens get home field advantage? We know Kansas City can win on the road, but you brought up a great point too with the Dolphins. So I like that. Listen, imagine this: South Beach. Never have to leave South Beach in January. That's a great question.
Right? Kind of nice. By the way, if the Chiefs and the Ravens, if they meet in the playoffs, I don't know. I think that they could get surprised by the Ravens. I don't know. I think the Chiefs are going to catch a surprise this year for some reason.
Well, I was talking to a colleague earlier this week about this, and fourth quarter, 2 minutes to go. Who would you rather have the ball, and who would you rather have? Mahomes and Andy Reid, or Harbaugh and Lamar? We trust Mahomes so much more. But as you saw, the emergence of Zay Flowers, no Mark Andrews, but this Keaton Mitchell is one of the fastest running backs I've seen in my life. And now he's rounding into form with the Gus Bus. Isaiah likely looked good on Sunday, and the Ravens defense is really, really tough this year. I'm not saying Ray Lewis tough, but they're pretty tough as well this year.
What's the exact on a Harbaugh, Super Bowl, CFB?
Hey, there you go. My 2 cents on the Harbaugh deal. It's almost like reincarnating what happened to Pete Carroll at USC. The fire, the writings on the wall. Pete Carroll with the mic drop. I think Harbaugh's the same way. I think they'll get to the Final Four. I think they got a good shot at getting to the final game, whether he wins or loses. I think there's 2 teams all set for him. Whether the Chargers decide to finally write a big check for a coach, or he'll be back in Chicago where he played next year for the Bears.
Okay, real quick, Chip, since we're talking about coaches, Chip Kelly, in my opinion, after that Cal loss, like, what are you doing? He was doing just enough to not get fired, including the USC game. That Cal loss exposed him. I don't even feel good riding with him into the Big Ten. So what do you think about Chip, and where does he end up going if he does get fired?
I've heard for the last few weeks he's out. He was dead man walking. It's funny, Travis. I work the BC home games with Anthony Pepe, Sports Map Radio. Their coach is on the hot seat. And let me ask you this. Chip Kelly gets fired. Would it be beneath Chip Kelly if the BC coaching job was available? Man, I think Pepe was saying he started at UNH. He has a big home in New Hampshire. Would it be beneath him after NFL, after UCLA, after Oregon? I mean, BC is a ACC program, but cold weather. Would he come back east? Is it too small of a job for him?
I think that he has the ego that he thinks that he could bring them to glory. I don't think it's too small of a job for him. That's probably the right size job for him, actually. And you say he's a New Hampshire guy, right?
That's what Andrew. That's what Anthony was telling me. Yes,
him and Ryan Day, and they, for whatever reason, I didn't realize that, but I saw them. I'm like, they look like New Hampshire. I don't even know what New Hampshire looks like, but those 2 guys, they just visibly look New Hampshire, and it's not a good look, by the way. It's a weird look. So I don't know. Just get him out of LA. Take him in Boston.
He gone.
Good. It was ridiculous. I liked Neuheisel, but Chip, like, it's Chip Kelly. Like, he's coming in here swinging his thing. Like, you'd think he'd do something with the program. Yeah.
He showed flashes of glory. Things were moving in the right direction. Had a nice run with DTR. I think just constantly losing the recruiting battle, Travis. Then Lincoln Riley comes in and he had the locker room for a couple of years, and I think you could start to see the writing on the wall. He was starting to lose the locker room.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't know how you struggle to recruit at UCLA. All you got to do is walk on the campus, and it should ideally sell itself. So just get him out of the way. We'll take a. We'll. I know. I'm pretty sure like the science department has a nice AI that could coach the football team. In the meantime, we'll figure that one out. Ask our data team about that. All these graphs. The technology is UCLA built. Chip Kelly was nowhere near any of these graphs. Yeah.
And what I will be doing throughout the week is I will be posting the graphs that we went over today on social media. We'll get some talking about that. As always, what we like to do, Travis, is we're wrapping the show up. Want to have you tell everyone where they can find the app, obviously, the work of WagerWire on social media, and just the community that you guys are building.
Yeah, so community is super important to us, and we welcome all you guys into it. On we'll still call it Twitter at WagerWire, TikTok and Instagram if that's your thing at WagerWire Live. WagerWire.com is really where you can learn about the company, sign up for our newsletter, etc. But on the App Store, Google Play, WagerWire, one word. Download the app; it's free. Type in your sportsbook username and passwords. You can see all of your bets in WagerWire. You can start to track your stats. You can add me as a friend. You can see what your other friends are betting on. You can see all of your, the odds that you want to compare. We have content that we do every day that's produced by our community. We call it For Fans by Fans. We want to hear everyone's voices. We think everyone's legitimate and has a perspective that can be learned from and shared. So we do, daily shows on our Twitter, hang out with people like you. We do articles. If you're a content creator and you're interested in what you saw today, let us know too. We're all about the grassroots movement because, we're for the people, Jeff. We're for the people. This is something that I think is going to make bettors' lives easier, and it's honestly something that we deserve. So our battle is out there trying to, connect to these multi-billion-dollar casino companies and let them know that even though they've got money coming in, there's always room for improvement. I mean, there has to be room for improvement. This can't be the lotus flower state of sports betting. It's completely broken. So we're here to usher in slightly better future than the one we have. And we think that anyone who's willing to come along with us on this journey, we would love to have you. We treat everyone in the community like family. It's growing. And I think that it's just really exciting that people like you see the potential in it this early.
Well, we can't thank you enough as always here as we tiptoe Friday into December already, the last full month of 2023, the holiday seasons, but still a lot of work to do during that. We get ready for the bowl games. Obviously, NBA will have the finals and the semifinals of their in-season tournament, the playoffs in the NFL getting closer and closer. And then as we're popping champagne on December 31st, getting ready to introduce 2024 and the college semifinals in football this year on the 1st, not the 31st. So much work ahead of us, so much value, so much, I'd like to say so many graphs to show the world, but I'm excited, Travis. We can't wait.
Me too, Jeff. And just one more shout out to my family in Alaska if they're listening, and to all the East Coast sports investors around America and the world. It's great to hang out with you guys. And these charts we're going to be making available to the public very soon. We're working on making a little dashboard so everyone can go in there and build their own. We also have our bet value calculator. If you want to go to wagerwire.com/calculator, you can type in what your bet is and what the current odds are. We'll tell you what that bet's worth. You can even type in if you're getting a cash out offer. We can tell you if you're getting ripped off. So we're here for the people. We got a lot of free tools as we start to turn on this, bet trading. And we think we're, bringing in a new paradigm. So thanks again for hanging out with us this morning.
Shout out to Mr. Sailors. Russell, stay away from those mooses. You don't need to get injured and not cash that Bo Nix Heisman Trophy winner. So from myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, from the one and only Travis Geiger, go follow him on WagerWire at WagerWire CXO. Say hello to the good doctor as well. Everyone, have a great, great morning. Have some fun. We'll be back later this afternoon. See you soon.